Hey, welcome. So today we're going to dig into a really big idea. What does it actually mean for a business to be responsible? It's a huge question that's totally changing the game, and it's reshaping how entire industries think about success. Let's get into it. For the longest time, the answer to this was a pretty simple yes. The whole goal was to make as much money as possible for the shareholders. End of story. But now? Well, now the script is being flipped, and that old assumption is being challenged in a major way. And this is the new way of thinking. A responsible business sees its purpose as something way, way bigger than just the numbers on a balance sheet. It's a fundamental shift, really. Profit isn't the only goal anymore. Instead, it's seen as the result of doing good things for everyone involved. All right, first up, let's explore this new mission. What really happens when a company decides its success is about more than just money? So there's a name for this whole idea: corporate social responsibility, or CSR for short. And look, don't just think of this as some fluffy PR move. It's not. Think of it more like a company's playbook for how to build ethics and positive impact right into its DNA. It's about putting your money where your mouth is. The key word here is actively. Seriously, real responsibility isn't about just sitting back and, not causing harm or checking off some boxes on a form. No way. It's about proactively getting out there and connecting with everyone the company touches, making sure the entire operation is sustainable and ethical from the ground up. That idea of connecting with all impacted parties leads us perfectly to our next big topic: the stakeholder ecosystem. So this begs the question, who does a business in today's world really work for? The old school way of thinking was a one-way street. Make the shareholders happy, that's it. But a responsible business gets that it's part of a much bigger ecosystem. Its actions create ripples that affect the entire community, for better or for worse. And that brings us to a really key term: stakeholder. This is so important. A stakeholder isn't just someone who invested money. It's anyone, and I mean anyone, who has a stake in what the company does. This idea doesn't just widen the circle of responsibility, it completely redraws the map. So, who exactly are we talking about here? Well, think about it. You've got the employees, right? Their jobs and skills are on the line. Then you've got customers who trust the company's products. You have the local communities where the business operates. And then there's the big one, the environment. It's kind of the silent stakeholder that everything else depends on. And when you start treating the environment like a real stakeholder, things get concrete, fast. It means you actually start measuring and shrinking your ecological footprint. You start seeing waste as a resource, and you realize that nature isn't an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's a precious asset you need to protect for the long haul. Okay, so we've talked about the big picture ecosystem. Now let's zoom in on the human side of things. What does it really mean to put people first? At the heart of it all, it really comes down to how you treat people. And we're not just talking about the folks you see in the office. This goes all the way down the supply chain, from the person who grew the raw materials to the person who assembled the final product. And the difference is pretty stark, right? It really comes down to compliance versus respect. Any company can do the bare minimum to avoid getting in trouble. But a responsible one goes further. It pays a fair wage. It creates a safe place to work because it knows its people are its most valuable asset. But that respect doesn't stop there. It's also about building a culture where everyone feels like they belong, where different voices and perspectives are actually welcomed. And honestly, this isn't just about being nice. It's smart business. It leads to better ideas, better problem solving, you name it. A perfect example of all this in action: the fair trade model. It starts by making sure workers get paid and treated fairly. That allows companies to source their materials ethically, and it all ends with you, the customer, holding a product that actually stands for something. And that builds some serious trust. Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. We've hit on a new mission, this big stakeholder ecosystem, and putting people first. So what's the big takeaway here? What does this all really mean? Here's what I really want you to get from all this. This is not a fad. It's not just a marketing gimmick. It's a smarter, more sustainable way to do business for the long run. The whole point is to move away from a winner-take-all game to one where everyone wins: the employees, the customers, the community, and yeah, the planet too. And that brings it all back to you. Because whether you're a consumer, an employee, or just a member of your community, guess what? You're a stakeholder. You have a voice. So the real question is, what role are you going to play in pushing for this better way of doing business? Something to think about.